I'm Kate Gould. I'm a neuropsychologist in private practice and a research fellow at Monash University. And joining me, we have Colin Brokenshire, who is our lived experience ambassador. And I'm just trying to get my videos back up so I can see everyone, if that will work. But I'm really excited to speak with you today, and Colin is too, about this project we've been doing, a co-design project on the topic of cyber scams and acquired brain injury, and we call this the Cyber Ability Project. So our origin story, because I like to think of us as superheroes in some way, our work so far, and what we're working on now. In terms of our amazing cyber ability team, we're built up of our people with living experience, our ambassadors, Colin and Alf, pictured here. Myself from private practice, thankfully, as a neuropsychologist. We're partnering with Monash University, where I also work with Professor Jenny Ponsford, Matthew Carolan, Jao Carminati, who are doing research with us. And from Li-Ve Tasmania, an amazing organisation that helps people with a range of disabilities, we have Anna Holiday and Malachi Clerc-de-Paul, who I believe are with us today, which is fantastic. So our origin kind of goes quite a way back, all the way back to when Colin had a traumatic brain injury in 2005. And along the way, he was working with a number of neuropsychologists, and I was very lucky to start working with Col in 2012. A couple of years into us working together, we realised that Colin had unfortunately been in an online romance scam or a dating scam where somebody pretended to be a woman named Doris and conned Colin out of a lot of money. This, as you can understand, was very hard for Colin emotionally, but it was also hard for Colin to understand what was going on with this scam, because it was very convincing and the emotions for the scammer felt very real, and it made it hard to stop actually contacting the scammer and hard to stop sending money. It also had a really big impact on Colin's family, his support team, and in fact the rehab that he'd been working so hard towards as well, because everything became now the focus on the scam. For me, as his neuropsychologist, I found this actually incredibly difficult in terms of how to best help Col, like what kind of approach should I use? And I ended up trialing a whole bunch of different therapy approaches. And so I think what's special about sharing this story is that our co-design actually originated in this sort of clinical space. And earlier we have heard today from Dash talking about the theory and the models, and then a beautiful presentation from Cal and Tash also talking about the heart and the values and the practicalities of how they build that, getting on the same level and equality. So for us, we kind of started quite organically, just in terms of the clinical work and support we were doing. And here is the token dog picture of my dog Caspian, looking very smart. So we just worked together in the collaborative approach that I already used, stemming from positive behaviour support. So to try to skill up and learn from what we both were very naive to about scams. So we researched scams. We shared news articles that we'd seen. It comes up in the media a lot. We spoke to a cyber safety expert in Queensland. And as part of kind of coming to terms and making sense of what had happened, Colin wrote out the story and the experience of the scam. And then we decided that it would be helpful for Colin and for others, other clinicians, other people with brain injury, to hear Colin's story, and hopefully they could learn from our experiences. So we did get to present together at a range of conferences and workshops, starting just a number of years ago at our the community practice where I was working. And then we were lucky enough to do a how-to workshop for clinicians at the ASBI conference in Melbourne in 2017. So that's the Australasian Society for the Study of Brain Impairment, who are also part of putting on this conference now. And again, that was Colin talking about his own experiences being scammed, but also my experience of trying to support Colin. Colin was the keynote address at Brain Injury Australia's annual conference, and we also went to the Transport Accident Commission and spoke to them about his experience and my experience as well. And we were very honoured to receive the ASBI Early Career Clinical Innovation Award for this work that we have been doing. So ASBI has been an amazing support for us. But what was interesting is that when we were going out and telling the story, people were listening. And one of those people attending was Alf, who also had lived experience of brain injury. And he discovered that he had been scammed from hearing Colin in particular share his stories when we spoke at Brain Injury Australia. And that was really a catalyst for forming a relationship with Alf and with Anna Holiday at Li-Ve Tasmania, who had done some amazing scoping interviews with over 100 Tasmanians with disability, who had also talked about cyber safety as a really significant issue. And that's been so instrumental, that partnership. So that was really valuable from the clinical perspective. But then, as we've been talking about the theme of today, we all wear many hats. And I put my research hat on, and that alerted me to the need for us to determine, were these presentations even making a difference? Were they helpful? Have other clinicians been experiencing this as a concern for their clients that they work with as well? And what could we learn from them? So that formed our first aim, which was to conduct evidence-based clinical research to understand cyber safety issues with and for people with acquired brain injury. And we didn't just look at people who are clinicians, but people with living experience of brain injury, family members, carers as well. Our second aim then is to use all of the information we're learning together to co-create tailored cyber safety programs for people with ABI, and to help them become aware of scams, to help them prevent being scammed, and also to work out, well, what would help if you have been scammed? How do you disentangle from those very tight claws of the sophisticated scammers who maybe have been using emotional manipulation and grooming? With funding from the Summer Foundation, we ran some more workshops in Victoria and Tasmania. This time, Alf and Anna also working with us, and a webinar back when they weren't a thing yet. And we were lucky to reach over 80 neuro rehab professionals. And with the help of Matthew Caroline and Jenny Ponsford, we were able to evaluate these workshops and found that they were really helpful, which was very reassuring. And we also did a survey of over 100 neuro rehab professionals to get their sense of what would be helpful, what do they find is effective. And unfortunately, we weren't able to identify anything that clinicians said was a really helpful approach in this area. So it highlighted the need for more work. So we then have, with the help of Jao Carminati in her honours project, conducted some qualitative research. So that means in-depth, open-ended interviews. And we've conducted 30 interviews so far, where we're really, particularly at the moment, interested in the experiences of people with ABI and their family and carers about their understanding of their own scams and how to move through it. And we've discovered that they can really get stuck in this journey across a kind of vast, dangerous ocean of red flags and various scam situations. But those videos have been really valuable. Those interviews have been really valuable to help us understand what the lived experience is like. And we videoed those experiences. So Colin is now going to tell us what we've been doing now.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Well, with TAC funding, we've created a co-design online learning modules with and for people with ABI. These modules are designed to increase people with ABI's online safety skills, awareness of scams, and improve their ability to self-manage online risks. Sticking with the co-design approach, we have just finished a series of focus groups together with people with ABI to review and refine the training content, styling, and layout. Online training includes videos of people with ABI talking about their scam experiences, taken with ethics approval and their consent from the qualitative interviews. An individualised activity workbook with tailored strategies. We are also developing a measure of cyberability to help us evaluate the impact of this online training. Finally, we're conducting interviews with focus group attendees to understand more about their experiences in being involved with the project. The training will be publicly available soon. In terms of my contributions, I was the impetus of this research and advocacy work. So basically, without me, there's nothing. I also came up with a very clever project named Cyberability, which you'll note there on the screen. I regularly attend meetings to help with all aspects of the project, including finding and working on funding applications and being on the steering committee. Within the project, I have many roles, including promoting the project online, doing radio interviews and interviews for print media. I'll continue to be involved in presenting at conferences like this and Digital Health Week recently. Also, I've given a lot of input into the content for the online cyber safety training and assist with the running of consumer focus groups. My ABI makes it hard to remember all the things I'm involved with, but I've been pretty busy on reflection. It's been an interesting process and my involvement has been very in-depth. I realised that I could have quit as I didn't want to embarrass myself, but the idea of helping others has motivated me to share my story. As a result, I've actually helped others, starting with Alpha, the Brain Injury Australia presentation, and it snowballed from there. It's been very rewarding that people have been able to come forward because of me sharing my experiences. I doubt people would have come forward without me. For me, this co-design partnership has been instrumental in helping me evolve from a cyberscam victim to a survivor, an advocate, now a pioneer and researcher. Thank you everyone for listening to us today.
And if you do want to stay in touch with us, please sign up to our newsletter online at cyberability.com.au or connect with us over Twitter, where we're very active and there's a lot of interesting cyber safety information there too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cole. Thanks, Kate. Cole, that's an incredible origin story. I love that. And I think it's something that's worth discussing is how people come to research and why they come to research. And I think that's a really amazing example of, what's possible and an interesting pathway, to come through clinical work. That may not be always possible. Cal and Tash talked a little bit earlier as well about how that partnership kind of had an origin and how that happened. But what we might do is again pick that up in the Q&A. And I think we have arrived at time for a break. So very important to get up, stretch your legs, try and step or move away from the screen. And we'll see you in about 15 minutes.